All right, but it's not just the infighting within the Liberal Party which is currently threatening Canada, because President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump's repeated desire to absorb Canada into the United States is also fuming Justin Trudeau. Trudeau has said that there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of America. He further said that workers and communities in both our countries benefit from being each other's biggest trading and security partner. Trudeau's reaction came after Trump, while renewing the threat, said that he would do it using economic force. Remember, Trump renewed his pitch just hours after Trudeau resigned to make Canada the 51st state of the US. Trump has also threatened to slap 25% tariffs on Canadian goods if it does not stop illegal immigration and even drug smuggling. And so clearly, the US President-elect Donald Trump continues to ramp up his threats to gain control of Greenland and Panama Canal as well. Trump has refused to rule out using military or economic action to pursue acquisition of the Panama Canal and Greenland. This is part of a broader expansionist agenda that he has promoted since winning the November 5 election. Here's a report.
I'm not going to commit to that.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Tuesday declined to rule out military or economic action as part of his desire to have the U.S. take back control of the Panama Canal and acquire the Danish territory of Greenland.
No, I can't assure you on either of those two, but I can say this. We need them for economic security.
The extraordinary statement came as Trump further outlined an expansionist agenda 2 weeks before he is sworn into office on January 20th in Washington.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran.
Trump suggested he would impose tariffs on Denmark if it resists his offer to purchase Greenland, which he said is vital to U.S. national security. Denmark has said Greenland is not for sale. Aya Chemnitz is a Greenlandic member of the Danish parliament.
It's a question of whether should we maybe collaborate a bit more with the US. We shouldn't be bought by anyone because Greenland is not for sale and Greenland will not be for sale, but we can have a closer collaboration on business development with the US.
Her comments come as Trump's eldest son, Donald Jr., on Tuesday, arrived in Greenland's capital Nuuk on a private visit. When it comes to Panama, its president, Jose Raul Molino, has previously rejected the notion of turning the canal back to the U.S., which had owned it before handing over control to Panama in 1999.
We gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages.
The press conference, Trump's second since he won the November 5th election, took place one day after Congress formally certified his victory.
Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have.
Meanwhile, on the same day, a New York appellate court denied Trump's bid to halt the sentencing Friday for his conviction stemming from hush money paid to a porn star. Also on Tuesday, a judge in a separate case temporarily blocked special counsel Jack Smith from releasing a report on his investigations into Trump for his mishandling of classified documents and attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election.
All right, so whether it's the churn within Canadian politics or the expansionist threats of Donald Trump, let's try and get in some perspective. And for that, let me introduce our guests today. In fact, I'm joined in by Martha Miller, who's the Deputy Executive Director at NSI. Thank you, Martha, for joining in. To begin with, Trudeau has announced his resignation. What are the possible challenges that you see for the Liberal Party and for Canada?
You know, I think the challenges facing Canada right now with regard to the United States is probably best reflected in President-elect Trump's recent statements about Canada. And while his statements were largely, I would say, trolling and going for the, maximalist kind of shock effect, if you will, I actually think it just reflects Trump's broader frustrations with, trade terms between the United States and Canada, Canada's defense spending, and frustration towards Liberal Party policies, not just in Canada, but just sort of a reflection of the, the policies, against which President Trump campaigned. So, so in any event, I think all of these pieces will be a challenge for Canada, obviously, given that they will be expected to shift some trade agreements. President-elect Trump has talked about raising tariffs. That will be problematic for Canadian businesses, and but I think in a way, these were probably going to come up whether Trump was elected or not. But I think it'll be more focused.
All right, Martha, how do you assess Donald Trump's imperialist threats to take over Greenland, Canada, and Panama? Is there any method to this expansionist mindset?
President-elect Trump frequently starts with outrageous or provocative statements to grab attention and to initiate discussion. It's, I think it's a tactic that that's like his starting foray into some sort of negotiation and to bring attention to a concern. This tactic often shifts the debate and sets the stage for outcomes that, while less extreme, still have significant U.S. interests in mind. For example, they sound shocking. They aim to address real national security or policy concerns. I think with regard to Canada, I honestly think that has a lot to do with trolling Trudeau. There's a lot of interest in Greenland right now from our adversaries because it's mineral rich. And it lacks the ability to defend itself and is vulnerable to malign influence and malign powers seeking to exploit its resources and its location. There are some genuine national security concerns that are coming through. Staying with the Panama Canal, the treaty transfer allowed the canal to go under Panama's control, but I think what Trump is highlighting is that in actuality, the Panama Canal is being run by the Chinese.
All right, many thanks to you, Martha. It was a pleasure having you here on World 360.